Hi there, my name is Adam Fielding and welcome to another one of my crazy music making sessions. And tonight I figured it'd be kind of fun to carry on the theme that I started last week in terms of sort of the mid-noughties flavour and noughties flavour and start working on something kind of in a similar vein but sort of with a slower tempo. So I thought, what could I do that'd be similar to drum bass? Maybe some breaks. Some new school breaks, something kind of early to mid noughties. Yeah, that'll work. So that's my plan for tonight, to write something with a bit of a mid noughties flavour. So I'm thinking something like Elite Force and sort of Adam Freeland-esque, and maybe some early noughties BT. Who knows? It's gonna be a fun exercise. So hopefully this won't sound like garbage when I'm done. But yeah, let's get going. If anyone has any ideas as I'm going, please let me know. And if anyone has any suggestions, let me know. And I'm just gonna get going. I do have a bit of a cheat sheet on the right hand side of my screen, so I'm gonna be following that for a little bit. So the first thing I'm gonna do is crank the BPM up to 130, because I can't write a 100 BPM track and have it be breaksy, because that's not gonna happen. Dickie Wolves has said, "Ush, my Wi-Fi is super patchy, so I didn't get to hear the answer. Gonna rewatch it on YouTube." Oh wow. So I'm just gonna. One thing I'm gonna do differently this time is I'm gonna create a bunch of loops, bunch of blocks. So I'm gonna use blocks to create this entire track and stitch them together. But I want to get like 4 or 5 blocks together before I start putting the whole track together. So this will be interesting. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a redrum device, and just to kind of go over the basics in case you haven't watched any of my streams before, I have a maximizer which is placed right before the master output. So the master output's going into the maximizer, and from the maximizer out into the hardware output of the Reason interface. So it's got a 3 dB gain, and it's not doing anything else. That's kind of that's literally the last thing it's hitting, and that's pretty much it. So I just want to start making some drums. So I'm gonna look at the insert effects on this redrum channel and use my old faithful Eve drums insert. So one thing I noticed is I'm using a limiter on this insert effects chain, and its threshold is way too low. So I'm going to crank that up to 3 dB, because it never really goes above that when I'm doing these streams. And I'm going to turn the squash down on this pulverizer. So just going over this, I've got an Eve MP5 EQ. So I'm basically using that to boost the drums around the 12K mark, and that's pretty much all it's doing. I thought there was something else going there. Oh yeah, there's I'm also attenuating it around the 20K mark, so that kind of helps to smooth things over. I might go over that when I'm actually working on some drums. So I'm just going to load up some drums and see how this goes, and start messing around with beat map, because that's how I roll. So I'm just going to turn that down a bit and find a good kick. That's a bit much. So just have a look. Oh, that's nice. That's a good chunky kick. Maybe a bit too much. Actually, no, I like that. So Buskin Bill said the Eve is on sale at the moment, just got it myself. It's a really good EQ. I'm not endorsed by Kuasa at all. The MP5 is a fantastic EQ. It just works. So yeah, check it out if you haven't already. It's great. So I'm gonna just turn that down so it's not overwhelming. Last week I did actually add a disperser effect to the kick. I'm not going to do that just yet, but I might further down the line. So I just want a good kick, a good snare, and see how it goes. So I'm just going to go into the snare folder. So electronic snare. I like that. I think snare 20 is the way to go. Might turn that down a bit. Actually, no. I like that. Especially when it's crunched up. Right. And I'll just pick a hat. So let's have a look at the hats. And that'll do. So I turn that down. Turn the length down. Right, so I've got a really basic drum kit going. Right, so I'm going to create a beat map, and this time around I'm going to switch it to lava, which I haven't used before in these streams, but I have used before personally, and it sounds great. So my thinking is to just randomize it and see what pops out. Already we've got some ideas going, so I might just move around and see what pops out. So here we go. So I'm just going to restart and play it. Here we go. All right, so we've got like a nice little drum pattern going here. So now remember, a couple of weeks ago I had some problems with, well, last week actually I had some problems with actually getting these parts to line up correctly. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have the, I'm just going to enable direct record and record these drum parts and then mess around with them as I'm recording so I can get some nice fills going. So I'm just going to record it for the first sort of 4 to 8 patterns. I'm going to crank up reset step to 128 and just record this and get some extra bits going. So here we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to I'm going to disable the beat map for a start, and I'm going to use that as a basis for the rest of the track. Maybe the next four bars as well, and the rest will be fills. Awesome. So I'm just going to cut those, put that into block 1, paste it twice. Excellent. There we go. So just to give a shout out to the drums I'm using the drums from Wave Alchemy's Evolve Free drum set, which you can get for free from their website or wavealchemy.co.uk. Check it out. It's basically a stripped down version of their Drumvolution VST and sample set, which I highly recommend checking out. It's fantastic. I use it all the time now, but I don't want to sound like I'm shilling for Wave Alchemy, but it is awesome and it's free, so check it out. So here we go. Buskin Bills F8 to explode to individual lanes. Yes. So I'm using, so that's pretty much ready to go, and I'm just gonna just going to keep going. So I want to have some kind of chord over the top. So screw this. I'm just going to go into my own patches folder. My device, Europa. Europa's good for this kind of thing. So just gonna nowhere. It's not really what I'm after. Buskin Bills has rightly pointed out you need to register on Wave Alchemy, but it's really good and I strongly recommend checking it out because it's such a good sound set. So I'm already leaning towards E as kind of the root notes. So Shareware's what I used last week. I can't use that again. That would be cheating. Vapor Trails, that sounds nice. Yeah. All right. Thinking, could I bump that up an octave? Would that work? Yeah, why not? That needs a lot more delay and reverb for my purposes. Right, so let's add an echo, a bit of ping pong, turn the filter on, turn the feedback up, turn the dry wet down. Needs more reverb. Right. Okay, so I'm going to use the DR1, which is hooked up to the echo. I'm going to disable the onboard effects on the Europa I'm using. All right. Right. So I'm thinking, what can I add to this? I want to go for kind of a mid-noughties flavour, so I'm thinking maybe some loops. So I might just pop into the no, let's go into the factory sound bank, Old Faithful, and see what's in here. So I'm thinking maybe some chemical beats. That's classic stuff. So I actually kind of like the idea of that, so I'm just going to drag that into the rack and copy that to track. Maybe compress that in a second. So I've just turned on insert pre so I can run the high pass filter on that loop and just roll off the lows around 150 Hz because I don't really need anything down there. So oh, this is coming together nicely. So right, I'm just thinking, right, So just want to create want something basy. So I'm thinking of going for a similar thing I did last week, which was to create a VK2 and use that as a basy thing. So if I turn the octave down and and let's just have a look. So So I want the envelope to be affecting the filter, so I want to crank that up, crank the resonance up a little bit, and that's not the algorithm we want. There we go. Right. So right, let's turn that down a bit. Right, okay, I think we're getting somewhere. So okay, so if I just crank up the envelope amount on that filter, and I quite like the massive amount of drive that's going on there, so I'm going to leave that and maybe introduce a second oscillator. So should probably mention again, I'm mixing on headphones, so I'm probably missing out on most of the low end that's going on here, so I hope there's some low end, because otherwise this is going to be massively disappointing. So I'm just going to work on this. That worked. think we need some loops on top of what I've already got. So it's a breaks track. Let's get some extra loops going on. So I might just head into the loop supply folder. Actually, no, let's go into the factory sound bank again and go into drum loops and Simon Carter. Ooh. I think that'll work. So if I turn the decay down and copy that to track, I'm just going to solo that for now. I think if I process that, I can get something really interesting out of it that I can use as a start of the track as well. So I'm just going to add a sweeper modulation effect and fire up flutter filter. That sounds fun. So how's that sound? That could be interesting. So if I add some echo to that. Clobberma said, remember to switch off enable loop playback when you copy to track. As if I'd forget. I was totally going to forget. So I had already forgotten because I'm a plum. So let's take that through a high pass filter. Let's have some ping pong delay on that. Right. How does that sound in context? I'm thinking some more loops. I just want some more loops. So I'm gonna head into the old loop supply and see what's what. So I'm thinking I might head into the vintage folder. No. Maybe something faster. Fill 100. I like that. No. No. Let's keep going. I like the idea of Turrican, but it's not really working for me. I reckon no, that's a really stupid idea. I don't think that's going to work. That might work. Right, so if I just roll off the lows. I think that's a bit too wobbly for my taste, so Right, so I'm thinking I might use that as my first loop, because that's kind of my first block rather, because that's I want to build towards that. So let's start another block, block 2, and keep it simple, but I'm going to have like a more simplified bass. So actually, yeah, let's. Oops. Yeah, I think that works. Basket Bill says, I bet the VK2 patch would like the 303 pulverizer patch on it. So let's give that a go. Where is that? So let's build into pulverizer. There we go. So the 303 patch, where is that? I don't think I've ever used that before. So it's not a rack extension. I always forget. So, pulverizer patches. It's in the factory sound bank. I can't see it. So. I feel like it's kind of killed it. I reckon it would work if maybe it was turned down a bit, so I'm just going to try that. It is adding grit, but I think it's just completely killed the sound. I might dial it in a bit. Yeah, I'm not a massive fan. I can understand that would work on something a little more simple, I think, but I think it's just killing what's there. I like the purity of the VK2 doing its thing, and I have already massively overdriven it with the drive on the output. Black Book Official said, can't you load VSTs in there? I can, I'm just choosing not to. For some reason I have this weird thing when I'm working on my music making sessions on Twitch, where I prefer not to use VSTs if I can help it. So I'm trying to do everything using rack extensions, and so far I'm liking where it's going. What have I done? Right. So I'm just thinking simplifying the bass. In the second block, I might just add some. Ooh, Oop, that's way too quick. Black Book Official says, I was thinking about adding some multi-band saturation to it, like FabFilter Saturn. I have some ideas going forward. This isn't going to be like the final thing, so just bear with me. I've got some fun plans for this. So I think I'm just going to leave that for now and add like a drop kind of section. So it's be a new block. I'm just going to maybe get rid of the drums for now. Oh man, those chords need way more delay, so I'm going to crank that right up. That's better, right. So during this break, I'm thinking maybe some claps, but I want to do something with those claps. So I'm just going to fire up some claps. That'll do. Right. So just have some very simple claps going on. So just to highlight, I'm just getting very, very rough structural ideas down so I can play with them later. So I was thinking during this section, just to give an example of what I'm planning on doing, I was planning on adding some spring reverb to those claps, just as kind of like a build. So if I take output 8, hook that up to the RB7000 and get a spider audio splitter going on, merge that with the rest, the rest of the redrum output. That sounds a bit silly at the moment, so I'm thinking a spring type reverb and just increasing the decay over the course of this section, which I'm gonna delete once. So this is like just an example of what I'm planning on doing. So just to kind of increase the tension, but I'm going to play with that once I start arranging the track properly. So I'm just going to leave that automation lane for now and delete that altogether. But that's kind of my thinking. So just so that's like a simple kind of, that'll do for now. So block 4, I want something completely different. So just going to ditch that, and I've got a rough idea for what I want to do here. So going to mute all of that stuff for now. Just have Someone said, Baskin Bill said, has the stream got stuck? Let me know if it's stuck, because I think it's working. Right, okay, so I might mute those chords actually while I'm working on this. And I want some really, really nice, like gnarly bass. So in fact, I might move these synths to another column because I've made a bit of a mess here and I haven't been naming things I've been going, so I'm going to do that now. So drum hits, chords, loop 1, acid bass, loop 2, and loop 3. Save that. Right. In fact, I might unmute that. So, oops, I keep pressing F8. Right. Now, I want a really gnarly bass line, so I'm thinking like a wavetable kind of thing. I was thinking Serum to start with, but actually there are a couple of patches I made for the factory sound bank which I think would work here. So I'm just going to go into the factory sound bank folder for Reason, go into bass, and what about, I don't recognize that. No, that's not what I want. What's it called? Oh God, what's this patch called? Destructor Drone, that's the one I want. That's what I want. Right. So I'm going to disable key trigger on this envelope. Turn off the reverb because I don't really want that. Crank up the distortion because I do want that. Maybe play with the filter. Just to highlight, this is a factory soundbank patch, so you can play with this to your heart's content if you have reason and just mess around with it. So I'm thinking of doing just that. So I'm just going to turn the portamento time down because that's a bit much at the moment. So I'm thinking that's a bit much, so I'm going to roll off the lows on that particular gnarly bass, and maybe, because I want that to sound as loud as possible, but also I really want it to pop, so I'm thinking of adding a transient shaper, a kilohertz transient shaper, and just seeing how that works. So just kicking stuff around, don't mind me. So I'm thinking of bulking that out with a Poly 6, because of course I am, and just using my old faithful setup of setting a cutoff and EG intensity down to about 12 o'clock and turning up the PWM and PWM speeds to about 12 o'clock. This is kind of my go-to setup, so I'm just going to copy and paste that. So instead of transposing that down, no, I am going to do that, right. I don't want to complicate things too much. So right, so I'm going to set that to one voice because I don't need that to be any wider. So there we go. Right, just copy and paste. Whoops. Right, I think that'll do for the breakdown, and maybe there'll be some kind of build up. I think I'm overthinking this, so I'm thinking of combining that with everything else for block 5. That'll be kind of the everything coming together. So I'll mute the acidy bass and kind of see how that sounds in situ. So here we go. Not like that. So I feel like I need something else over the top just to kind of bring it all together. So I'm going to dip into the loop supply folder again because I like to cheat, and I just want some percussion. So no. Filth, that's what I want. I mean, that's not what I was expecting, but I think that might work. So I'm just going to normalize that and see how it goes. And roll off the lows there. That's way too loud. What I need is some percussion, because I haven't got anything on channel 7 on the redrum, even though that's being triggered by the beat map. So let's have a look. That'll do. Right. Right, so just going back to block 1, this is what I started with. Oh, I forgot to turn off enable playback again. Did I? No. Oh no, I didn't. I'm just a fool. I'm thinking the percussion is a loop because I'm easily confused. So, right. So that's block 1. This is block 2. Which is basically the same as block 1, but with some simplified bass going on. In fact, I think if anything, I can add some more stuff to block 1. Now that block 2 exists, so... Oops. Just want to make it work with the groove I've got going, so not sure that works. I think I'm overthinking this, so I'm just going to copy and paste that. Hey, Giles says, howdy Adam, sorry I'm late. Hey Giles, nice to see you. Yeah, I think I'm overthinking this, so I'm just going to leave that alone for now. Just play this block again and move on. So block 2 is the same but simpler. So I'm kind of working backwards here. Ooh. What you're doing, Reason. Right. So block 3. Yeah, I don't think we need the loops in there, but yeah, I think that's going to work nicely. I think I just need some more loops. Just one more maybe. So I'm going to go here again, head into the vintage folder. Oh, that would have been great. Actually, that might work. Nope. I think I'm overthinking this. Right. Right, so I've spent about an hour working on this thing, so I think I should probably just start arranging some stuff. Hang on to this extra section here, which is my my little fill selection, so I'm gonna snap that to the nearest note so I can just grab that when I need it. So I don't want to just launch into it though, so I'm thinking, yeah, so I'm thinking of starting there. I think that's how I'm going to start the track. So I want like a sort of big swooshy sound to start with. So right, okay, I think I've got just the thing. I'm going to go into my custom samples folder and grab some, I think it's in here, cable noise. Busking bills, bins again. Not today, not today. Although I might get some bins out. No, I wanted some cable noise, which sounds like this. Although I want that on a fresh audio channel, not the one I've got reserved for a loop. Otherwise that's going to get very confusing. So basically this is literally the sound of me pressing the end of a guitar cable while it's amped up. So it sounds like, oh, sorry Mike, sounds like this. If I solo the right channel. think that'll work nicely as a start sample. So that's G, so I'm going to transpose that down 3 semitones so it fits the rest of the track. Buskin Bill says, what are you recording them samples with? Reason. I think that was recorded with, it was just me using Kuasa's Cream soft amp in Reason, and I think I just kind of pressed the end of the guitar cable, no microphones, just the end of a guitar cable, just hooked up to an audio input on my audio interface, and that popped out. So it's cool, it's a nice sound. So I am going to take a chunk of that. I'm going to change the stretch and transpose type to melody, because I feel like that gets you really gnarly results when you stretch it, and I'm just going to stretch the crap out of that and see what pops out. So nice. I might not go that far, but I might do that. Sounds a bit didgeridoo, Giles says. It does, actually. My plan is to basically just have like a filter sweep with that coming in with some effects over the top and then launch into the track. So I'm thinking open up a high pass filter, and then bring everything in. I am going to want the chords though, and I'm going to want to filter the chords in, so why not? Buskin Bill says need some wobble. Oh, I'm not done with this yet. So I was thinking of adding a bit of reverb and some ring modulation courtesy of the Synapse devices. So I'm just going to call that intro noise. Oh, I've gotten lazy with this again. So that's sub bass, that's noisy bass, that's loop 4, that's loop 5. Oh no, oh god. So I'm just gonna swish those filters in, not press the wrong buttons, and hope that works. Actually, I really want that to not quite that much. So I really want to start messing around with some effects here. So I'm going to add DR1 because of course I am, because that's how I work. And I might open that up a bit more as it comes to the end. Excuse me. Right. Right, okay, so I'm also going to add a RM1, which is a ring modulator, and start that off dry and introduce that as that section goes on, then bring it back and really go nuts with the time. Nah, I want it to be more ridiculous than that, so nice. Okay, so I might add one of the new Reason 11 devices, which is the sweeper, and I might pop that before the ring modulator. I just want to try something different. Oh, that sounds nice. Random resonator. But I don't want it to be random, so I might adjust the LFO to a sine wave and turn that down. Turn the LFO to frequency down and maybe the frequency up and see what happens. Nice. Right, I think we're getting somewhere. Oh, I didn't turn insert pre on, that was stupid. Right, okay, that's sounding kind of silly. Might turn the drive up on that just because I like it. Turn the feedback down on the sweeper so it's a little less resonant. Actually, no, that's way too sudden. Right, okay. Okay, I think that's a neat intro. Right, and that's literally the sound of me touching the end of a cable that's amped up. That's fun. That's fun. Highly recommend doing stuff like that. Just whatever takes your fancy. It's always fun to roll with those ideas. I think the high pass filter is a bit much. Yeah, I think that'll do. Right, so I'm going to mute a lot of these drum channels because I don't want them to come in immediately. So the hats, the percussion, the claps, well, I'm not using the claps, but I'll mute those anyway. I just want it to be... so I can have all those elements come in as the track progresses. Basically, I want to arrange the track using those blocks I've already created and make something out of those. I don't want to overthink this. I want because the main problem I have when I'm writing breaks is that I overthink everything I'm doing. I want things to change constantly, and that's not how breaks work. If you want a decent track that people can move to, you need to keep it steady. You need to keep it rhythmic. And the problem is my mind is going all over the place constantly, and I want to change things constantly. And that worked quite nicely last week when I was working on the drum and bass track, and I changed things just enough as it was going, but I want to keep things steady this time. So that'll be an interesting exercise to not change things. So let's see how it works. I do want the time on that reverb to be cranked right up so it washes over everything. Now the problem lies in the fact that yeah, there we go, right. Joel says, I just got some cheap contact mics that have already proven quite useful for creating similar sounds to your cable effect. Yeah, I know a guy who works doing lots of sound design for games and stuff, and he's been using lots of contact mics for creating weird sounds, and I feel like I should get some myself because it sounds like a lot of fun, especially now. I want to mic up all the random crap I've got lying around, and I've got a lot of random crap lying around, so that sounds perfect for me. I don't want that percussion to come in immediately either, so I'm going to leave that muted. think I want to have some of these loops come in, damn it. In fact, actually I'm doing this all wrong. Yeah, let's have that loop come in. Yeah, that FSC loop. Let's have the chords filter in a bit more. So I do wish Reason would keep the SSL channels with its respective instrument sequencer lane a bit more, because that irks me. Actually, let's mute some of those chords. I do want... I still want the hats to be muted. And have that old factory soundbank loop start filtering in, I think. So yeah, let's bring that in. So at this point I am just going to be filtering stuff in. Giles has said, have you tried using the rack extension SSL EQ instead of the mixer to keep it tied to the sequencer track? I have, but for some reason I think it's just old habits. I tend to still use the mixer, although I kind of tend to use the rack effect if I need to use it as a secondary effect on top of stuff I've got going on in the mixer, if that makes any sense. So say I've got a low pass filter and high pass filter doing creative stuff in the mixer, and then I decide to roll off the lows in the rack, then I have to add a rack extension SSL EQ, which is a really stupid way of working because I should be doing that all in the rack anyway. But that's kind of how I've conditioned myself to work, and it's weird, but it works, and I'm trying to kind of reverse that workflow in my mind. So I might do that. Yeah, I try to use the rack for effects and the mixer for actual mixing, but I really like the high pass filter and low pass filter, and the whole kind of workflow of the mixer is great. I love it, and I've become so accustomed to abusing that now it's hard to actually approach it properly. It's kind of strange. So there is that. Just realised I've been doing this all wrong, and I should be using block 2 because block 1 comes after block 2. Basically, in case you missed the start of the stream, block 2 is a stripped down version of block 1, which sounds ridiculous, but it is. So I started with block 1, which is kind of the full fat version of block 2, so I want that to come in before block 1. But I don't want that percussion to come in just yet. Buskin Bill says save. Thank you, Buskin Bills. I always forget. Thankfully, Reason hasn't let me down yet during a stream, but I feel like I do take it for granted. I should save more often, so thank you. need another loop to come in there, so I'm thinking maybe loop 3. Not. Yeah, that's good. Leo Thomasat says, no autosave in Reason yet. No, sadly. I think it has something to do with how Reason handles project files, in that everything is lumped into one project file. So if you're working with lots of audio, your project files can balloon up to several gigabytes in size, which isn't ideal if you ask me. I would much prefer the option to separate the audio from the project file, like every other DAW. But I do like having everything self-contained in one file, so I'd just like to have the option at this point. But I can see why they chose to do things like that. So what I'm going to do now is automate how the envelope affects the frequency on the bass, so it kind of fades in a bit. And Giles has correctly said, mixed versions would solve this if they insist on keeping the audio inside the song file. Yes, yes it would. Please, please guys, introduce this. Oh god. I've worked on so many projects mixing stuff for other people where I wish you could just include various versions of the same project with the same audio in one file. It would be a perfect solution. But anyway, this is turning into a bit of a Reason support group. So I'm just going to keep going and hope this works itself out. You may have noticed me chopping up this entire section of drum parts that I'm going to be using as fills throughout the track, so I might just pop one there. That's just a regular drum bit, so let's... Oh, I haven't actually done this yet, so I'm going to do this now. I'm going to enable direct record and start messing around with this as I record to get some fills going. So here we go. And there we go, a whole bunch of fills ready to go. So if I undo that, if I copy that and undo that, it should reset. No, it's not going to do that. So, well, I'm just going to bypass it, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to disable direct record, and I've got a ton. There we go, that's a nice little fill there. So I'm just going to chop this entire chunk up and use it all as fills throughout the track. Nice, automatically generated fills. I'm not cheating, you're cheating. Shh. So I might use the low pass filter on the SSL just to kind of roll off the harshness on the acid bass when it comes in. And I might crank the resonance up on the acid bass because it sounds awesome when it comes in. Best Form 1 says, this is a great way to use the beat map. I highly recommend it. It has saved me so much time. In fact, I was working on, sorry, bit of a segue here. I was working on a very, very different track a couple of days ago. It's very post-rocky. And I really wish I'd used Beatmap for that track because I ended up manually programming a ton of fills, like acoustic drum fills, and they didn't sound natural to me at first. And I really, really wish I'd just used Beatmap to kind of split those off and use them for later use. Although, having said that, the entire track was in 7/8, so I don't think Beatmap would have been appropriate for it. But, you can see where I'm going with this. Use Beatmap, it's great. So I think kind of a crazier... I want like a crazier... just more snares. So I'm actually going to use something I showed off earlier today, which was routing an LFO to something else, to control something else. Before the stream started, someone asked me how CVs work in Reason. So I'm going to use an LFO from this FSC Dr. Octorex, which is this thing. I'll just play it now. In fact, I might just crank that up. Yeah, that's cool. So I'm just going to turn the LFO rate down to 8.4. So that's 2 bars. So every 2 bars, there's going to be a signal generated by this Dr. Octorex. It kind of goes up and down and up and down. And that's kind of highlighted by this triangle here. And that is going to be routed to the pan input CV from the LFO. So if I listen to it now, you should be able to hear it panning from left to right. Just going to turn down the pan CVN so it's not quite as extreme. So now we get this kind of cool, gentle panning effect on that particular loop, which is kind of nice. And now I think it's time to bring in block 1, which is where we started. Except I'm going to continue to have that percussion muted so I can bring that in the next section. And then I'm going to have everything drop down for a bit after that. So, someone's just said, maybe throw in a blank node rack extension to jot down the XY coordinates when you find a spot you like with Beatmap. That's a great idea, and I have actually started doing that. I must admit, I do have a cheat sheet on the side on my other monitor, and I have written down kind of rough values of things I should be using during this session, and the XY coordinates of things that work in Beatmap. So I've got like between 7 and 9 and 4 and 6 written down for lava as where to start for this particular track. So I have totally cheated. I apologize if you thought I was doing this all off the cuff, but I do cheat. And yeah, that's a great idea. You should absolutely do that. Write it down. If not in rack extension form, then definitely in a separate document, because stuff pops out and you need to keep it stored. And that's why I like bouncing Beatmap parts, so you can use them later without worrying about them disappearing into the ether. Just realized I haven't had... Oh, I have faded that in properly, but no, I haven't. Right. That's fine. Right. Boskin Bill says, it's called preparation, Adam. Indeed. I'm all about the preparation. So, I'm going to start grabbing loops 3, Sorry, not loops 3. Loops 4 and 5. Where are loops 4 and 5? There we go. Maybe playing with those. I think what I should do is focus on what I said earlier and not overcomplicate things and let things flow. So, I think from this point on, I'm just going to start automating effects and synth to see what pops out. So here we go. I like the acid bass, but I think it's a bit much, although I am mixing on headphones, so please tell me if I'm wrong, but I am going to notch the lows around 60 Hertz, just a touch. Please let me know if this sounds awful. I think it just gives the kick a bit more room, but again, mixing on headphones could sound like garbage. Right, let's start messing around with the resonance. Yeah, let's just start messing around with this, right? Okay. Clobberma has rightly said, have you bumped up the filter and drive algorithms on VK2? You have plenty of spare CPU. I haven't, and I'm going to. So if you're unaware, on the back of VK2, there are options to try different algorithms related to the oscillators, the filter, and the drive modes. And I'm going to crank up the drive to high, because that sounds better. And I think I might leave it alone for now, actually. I think the drive is the thing that's kind of giving most of the character to the sound. And in the mix, you probably can't really tell that much. But that is excellent advice that I'd completely forgotten. One thing I do want to do is start introducing some really big delay washers. But I want to get to the cool part of the track soon, because it's ready to go. So I just want to drop it in. In fact, I might just have like a massive delay wash there. Yes, more feedback. Too much feedback. I knew this was going to happen. Right, okay. 110, maybe automate the filter. In fact, I don't want that last note. No, I definitely want that one there because it sounds stupid without. I hope you like watching people mess around with delay for half an hour, because that's probably what I'm going to be doing now. Right, let's notch that. Yeah, I think I think the filter frequency is too high, so I just want to, I do want to have that lower. So, yeah. Clubmer said, "Yep." Well, I'm glad someone likes the look of delay automation. Yes, that's what I want. Perfect, spot on. I can't even look at that now. It's done. If I look at it, it might mess it up. Best Form 1 has said, "Oh god, the handling of automation in Reason is so great. I might skip Ableton Live for a few tracks and use Reason standalone just for that." It's really good. It's really good. Yeah, it's. I mean, I take a lot of it for granted because I'm so used to using Reason now, but the way you can, if you're using rack extensions in particular, the way you can just automate everything is super easy. You can, like, I tend to right click and select edit automation for a lot of stuff, but you can just press Alt and click and that does it. But old habits die hard. VSTs offer similar functionality in that you can fire up a VST and then click on automate, click on a button, and that will automate it in the sequencer lane, and it's fantastic. It's really good. That is a bit much. Right. Right, okay, I'm just going to play it from the start and stop messing around with this delay, because I could be here for half a day if I do keep messing around with it. Cliffo4 said, "Was there a VK1? It's yes, and it's pretty damn good. Kind of want to roll with that for just another couple of sections and then have a drop around 2 minutes. I'm just thinking of what I can add. I might, oh no, should I try messing around with vocals again? I mean, it worked last time, and but am I tempting fate? I don't know. I'll Giles says, I see you putting automation curves to great use. Yeah, actually, that's kind of my favourite addition in Reason 11. I wish I'd added them sooner, because, yeah, they're great. The workflow enhancements in standalone Reason are really good. I'd just love to see more of it, really. So, fingers crossed, because I'm all for that. Yeah, let's have an extra loop there. So I'm gonna dip into block 5, grab loop 4. Maybe not loop 4. Oh, that's it. Clippo says, does it need vocals though? Maybe only some quick yeahs. I'm not thinking of going nuts. I'm not going to add some drony vocals. I'm just... maybe something quick, but that's the arrangement. I want it to go from there to block 3, so I want to add something else. In fact, you're right. I am overthinking this. Let's just keep it rolling. And the cool thing about having this as audio is I can drop it in here. Oops, didn't mean to do that. And for that last measure, just reverse it. I'm going to start restraining the chords a bit, I think. Oh no, right, okay, so we're getting there, so I'm gonna filter that out. Best Film One says, the breaks on the beat map recording are doing you an immeasurable service. They really, really are. I was very tempted to try recording some breaks, kind of like some standard breaks, or sequencing breaks, just like that kind of typical break pattern. And I'm really glad I didn't have to, because the stuff that beat maps come out with has been really, really cool. So it saved me a job. So Right, I need a big feedback wash there. And it's going to be on the chords again. So let's crank that up. Yeah, I definitely need to keep playing the chords though, because otherwise it sounds super dry. So but I might use the SSL filter as well. Oh no, I don't want that to go down so quickly, right? Right, so those claps sound really lame as they are, so let's increase the decay as they play. I want more of that. Right, and that's where crazy bass comes in. All right. About time. Although that is super loud. So just to clarify, that is a factory soundbank patch in Europa, which I made, which, you know, I'm not bragging about or anything, but I totally made it. And there's no additional distortion. There is some transient shaping going on, but all I've changed in that patch is I've unhooked it from the key trigger on envelope 1 because that was controlling the, I believe it's controlling the wavetable position on some of these oscillators. And that's pretty much it. I think I slowed down the phaser and turned off the reverb and delay. But the transient shaper is adding some really nice punch on those initial transients. So let's have a listen. Right, so I want to add an extra element there. I feel like it needs like an extra bit in that bass. So I'm going to go with Old Faithful Europa again. I want like a sort of boom, boom, boom kind of effect. So, and I used this patch recently called Beefy Bass, and I'm pretty sure I thought I'd made it originally because it sounds awesome. Sorry, I was going to say I thought I made it originally because it sounds awesome, which sounds incredibly big-headed of me. But it sounds like the kind of thing I would use. But I don't think it is, and I think it might be by my pal Tom Pritchard. And that sounds awesome. And I think that's exactly what I need here. So I'm going to modify that a bit. So I think I'm going to turn the filter drive up a bit. And turn off the reverb. Turn down the release on the envelope. And turn on the distortion. Right, okay, I think we're cooking now. So whoa, I'm zoomed in way too far. Want to speed that up a bit. No, right. Close. It's close to what I want. Just bring that down a bit. Nah. Oh, I'll get there. Right. Right, okay, this is reminding me of something else I want to change. If I bring that down. That's it, right. Okay, just want that to come up a little bit. Maybe turn the tone up. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to park that into block 5 as well. And just mess around with it from here on. Right, so I don't want that. Buskin' Bills. So I've been gone for about 10 minutes. Did anyone remind Adam to save? No one did. That's just rude. I'm saved now. There we go. So, So I think I might launch back into the main loop. I'm just going to play it from the start for now because I think I'm getting too into the details here, but I think listening to it from the start might help. Mitch says, if I may suggest something for that sound, for the second hit, maybe it'd be cool if there was a slower attack, so it sounds reverse-ish. Hang on, I'm going to listen to it from the start, and hopefully I'll pick up on what you mean. So here we go. So Mitch M1SCHK has suggested adding a bit of attack on the beefy bass, I believe, to give it kind of like a reversey, swooshy sound. I'm going to do that on this. Right. I can see what you're going for. I think the... it's a good idea, and I want to do that. So I'm going to cheat. I'm going to use Kilohertz's reverser and just crank that up on that section there and bring it forward a touch. I mean, that's totally not what I was going for, but I actually quite like that. That works for me. Buskin Bill says, you're going to have to bounce the audio. That's exactly what I was thinking. That's why I turned to reverser. So, I actually like that. So I'm gonna stick with it. but I do want to change the claps there and have those filter in over time. So they just seem to come in kind of suddenly. I do want to add some swooshes, so like my old trick from last week and the week before and the past decade. I'm just going to add the sound of a bin closing, and I'm going to shorten that and reverse it, pop it into position, shorten it, stretch it, pop it back into position, and right. Okay, so just gonna a lot of reverb there, and that. It's my usual trick, so let's call that reverser. And I'm going to do the same before that gnarly bass comes in. Maybe stretch it a bit more so it's less of a sudden thing. Alright. I do? Right. Cliffo says, 1 week we'll get the bin the normal way round. Maybe. It'd be kind of fun to use it as a percussive sound as opposed to my usual thing. Lovely, lovely bin closing. Maybe I'll use these battery scrape samples at some point. Outro. Maybe. I think one more repeat of that and maybe have the first loop come in, which is absent from this block. So I'm just going to, come on, right, I'm just going to copy and paste that into block 4 and mute it where I'm not using it. I might just have that fade in. I do want to have another break come in there. So I'm thinking maybe loop 3. gonna go rogue. Have another little sweep come in there, but I'll transpose that up an octave. And then right, I think we're cooking now, so I'm going to save that. See how we're going. So yeah, while I was listening to the track, there's been a bit of a conversation going on in the chat about me saving without prompting, which is kind of a new one. And Buskin Bills has said, Adam is right, I don't think Reason's ever crashed, only Windows, that's why I swapped to Mac. I was a Mac user from 2015 to 2019, and it proved prohibitively expensive, as easy me'd say, for me to upgrade to a decent spec Mac that I wanted. Well, actually, it would have cost me as much to upgrade my solid state drive as it would have cost me to get a new computer. So I decided to ditch the Mac and went back to using Windows, and I've been pretty happy ever since. But if it works for you, that's the most important thing. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's much of a muchness nowadays. I think I touched upon this last week, and I'm going to kind of go around circles. Although Buskin Bills has said, I would still like to know his machine specs. I should make a note of that, and I'll bring it with me next time. Machine specs for next time. I'm not using a super state-of-the-art computer. I'm using an i7 with 16 gigs of RAM, and it's nothing out of the ordinary. It probably would have cost me about $5,000 if I'd stayed in Apple land, but I didn't want to, so I didn't. But there we go. So it has proved problematic in terms of collaboration, because a lot of people I know use iOS for communication in terms of iMessage and FaceTime and all that kind of thing. So yeah, there we go. Anyway, so let's crack on. Don't want both that pulse playing and the kind of gnarly bass at the same time. It just doesn't work. So I'm going to alternate between the two. Night Monkey Folkway said 4 gig RAM gang here. Oh man, I was super into the 4 gig RAM gang until like 2013, I think. I was using a AMD based computer with 4 gigs of RAM, and it worked great until I started using loads of romplers, like the sicko I am. So if you're using mostly synths and stuff, then CPU beats RAM every time. But there we go. I feel like I want to introduce some kind of like big wash and some cymbals. And then round it off. You want to introduce that stuff there, then have stuff start fading out there, I reckon. This is the problem with arranging everything backwards. Let's have some stuff just drop out there. Actually, no, I think I'm going to have the drops come in there. Yeah. Was that another save without prompt? Buskin Bill says. Yes, generally speaking, when I'm working on my own, I tend to save quite frequently. Control S is a frequent thing of mine. I just get distracted when I'm streaming. just going to go from the start and see what I think needs to come in next. Right, so I'm thinking some kind of extra kind of like high pad over the top. I think I might have just a thing for that. And introducing the Poly 6 again as like a drone underneath everything, I think would be a really cool idea. Thanks for the idea, guys. That's a really cool idea. So I am actually, if I just had like a prolonged, if I just extended that that gnarly bass part, that would be kind of cool. Oh, that's a great idea. You guys. I'm feeling this. Also, am I the only one who's thinking I could really go for some Wipeout right now? I really want to play some Wipeout. Because oh yes, I'm feeling this. Right, okay, so if I change the pitch range, yep, to 2 and just that's the wrong instrument. I'm an idiot. Right, so where are you, Destructor Drone? Right, okay, so that is 2 and Clover Martyr said Pfizer. Yep. Oh, yes. Right, okay. This is the ending I wanted. Yeah, right, okay. I might add some extra splashy symbols over the top. I really don't want to overcomplicate this. Right. Top Tune who just has said, what did you do there? I just extended the drone I had going here. So this is, I'm just going to play this because I haven't really made a lot of this. So this is a factory sound bank patch that I created for Reason 10, I think, and I've modified it a bit. And yeah, it's just. Clovermutt said, I keep hearing missile, quake in that cockpit voice. Yeah, I'm gonna have to play some Wipeout after this. Missile. I'm just going to do the same thing again for another section. And just, I'm going to add some extra. Oh, right, that needs to go up. Yes. Love it. Is that too much? I think I might need to notch that a little bit. Maybe not that much. Right, okay. So no, it does need that volume. It's just a bit too much as it is, so I think if I bring that down, minus 6 dB. Actually, that'll work nicely. I'm not convinced that works. Maybe if I bring it down an octave. Yes, that's better. Right. And also, I'm going to crank up the feedback on that echo, just because I want it to really wash over everything, but not, oops, that's not feedback, that's frequency. Because I want it to wash over everything, but maybe not that much. Oh wait, what's it set to by default? Oh wow, that is a lot of feedback. Awesome. Gotta have that again. Right. I think I'm going to add some extra percussion there, then have like a swooshy effect, and then start rolling it off. Also, controversially, I think I might have that noisy bass filter in a little bit, because it kind of comes in very suddenly, and I think just notching the filter a little bit might help. Yes, that's great. If I may say so myself. About 150 I reckon will work. Cliffo4 says, I'm thinking quite an abrupt end. I'd like to kind of have it, although the intro is kind of sudden as well. I like that, so... There's a lot of talk about my vocals from last week. I'm not going to be doing that today. I don't think I have the time for that to work. Although, I might give it a go. Who knows? That needs something else. It's worked already, so... Yeah, I think just some cymbals over the top of that. God. That'll do. Right. Cliffo said, and for a title, reference to the hairnet and hair treatments, because we're worth it. No. I don't want to sound dismissive, but no. But I want to have something that like Kinesis, I want to have something that references it's the problem with working with lots of feedback on delays. I want to have something that references kind of wipeout and speed and racing. I think that'd be kind of cool. Yeah, I'm totally cheating here. Copy paste, copy paste. Yeah, I think I'm just going to round it off there and see how it goes. And the great thing is, I haven't used that acid line in a while, so I can bring that back. And I won't feel even remotely guilty about it. Yeah, thinking for a title sometimes is harder than making the track, Top Tuner just said. Yeah, generally speaking, I tend to come up with ideas as I'm going. Except for during these streams, where I really suck when I'm doing it, so... I'm totally going to have like a big feedback wash on this chappy here. So I'm going to create a aux send effect delay. It's the echo. Try where it's cranked up. Ping pong. And I'm just going to turn the feedback up a bit. And in that last section, I'm just going to crank that up. Actually, no. I want it on... Oh no, the feedback, it's building. I want it on the beefy bass, right. I kind of like that. Just have like a little swoosh there. Just a little one. I'm not calling it clippers. I'm not calling it anything related to my hair. Drop that idea. Cushion89 has said, do you use other delays for washes too? Generally speaking, if I'm working on my own stuff, I tend to use Valhalla delay, which is fantastic. But during these streams, I tend to use the echo. Valhalla delay is awesome. It's basically the perfect delay for me personally. It has a certain depth to it that I really, really appreciate that I've never really seen in other soft delays. Definitely recommend checking that out. Title idea, Gravity Well. I've already used that idea. I really, really wish I hadn't used that idea because it's a really good one. Unfortunately, I used that on an EP called Stranded a couple of years ago, but I might just steal it and use it again. I don't know. I'll think of something. Baseball caps work well, by the way, if your hair is as bad as mine at the min. Don't tempt me. Although, you know, I don't suit hats. Unless it's my trusty fedora, my lady. Yes, right, here we go. Clovermet says, Adam, no. It's fine. I'm not getting a fedora. It's fine. Don't like that fill. Let's have... Oh no! Oh damn it, I deleted the fills. What's wrong with me? That was stupid. Right. Right, I'm going to take an old one and use the alter notes function here and alter it by 80% and see what stupidness pops out. Wow, I'm amazed that worked. I do want to end it there. Top Tuner just said that was, oh god, so much feedback. That was a lottery win doing that last edit. It really was. I lucked out massively. The wrong thing. This is why you should label your tracks properly. Right, so I don't want that to go right down. But shit. Right. I do want all these loops to filter out properly, and I do want the acid base to filter out properly as well, so that can come right down at the end, and that's the one. Right, that needs to come down. Alright, jeez. Right, let's just check that. I like that. I just want to do something with the drums so they don't just cut off suddenly, and I'm not going to use a bin lid again. I feel like that's played out at this point. Although I've only used it like 4 times in this track, which is... That's conservative for me. So I think what I'm going to do is... No, I'm going to leave it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take that loop and get rid of some of those extra snares. Right, okay. So, gonna add one last... that's not built-in device. We're gonna add a DR1. Crank that up, turn the low cut up, and on the final snare, I'm just gonna add lots of reverb. Excuse me. So... In fact, I liked it with just that, yeah. All right. Cool. That's what I'm talking about. So I'm going to play it from start to finish. If anyone has any awesome ideas for song titles, I am all ears at this point. I'm thinking something Wipeout related, something futuristic, sci-fi, speed, that kind of thing. My mind is drawing a blank though, which is unusual for me. So I'm going to save that. Shocking. Play it from start to finish, and I'm going to call it a day, I think. So let's go. yeah, I'm happy with that. Yeah, I'm happy with that, where that's gone. So I'm probably going to wrap that up. And I've had a couple of name suggestions. I've had Rip, which I like. That appeals to the part of me that's been playing a lot of Doom Eternal recently. Although I think the one that's kind of really stuck out to me is Ballistic. I really like the sound of that. It's really satisfying. I like the sound of that. Although I've had bass bins. I like the bin idea, especially with the sort of transitional elements that I've thrown in there. But I think I'm going to stick with Ballistic as a title. So I'm going to go with that. Just call it Ballistic. I think that's cool. I think that's a great name. Nice and simple, like Kinesis last week. Kinesis, Ballistic. Both good names, I think. So I'm probably going to stick with that. I'm not calling it Ballistic Bin. Sorry, Giles. Wow, it's amazing. Buskin Bills and Giles both saying Ballistic Bin at the same time. Incredible. No, I'm not going to call it Ballistic Bin. So I'm probably going to wrap up the stream for now, but I'll be sticking around sort of for the next 5 minutes or so after I end the stream for archiving. So that's kind of a wrap for me for today's session. So yeah, so thanks so much to everyone who joined me for the actual stream itself, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys here next time when I'll be doing something quite different. So cheers and see you next time. Bye.